Hey everyone, and welcome to Soul Reaper's first developer Q&A. I'm Brandon, but feel free to call me by my online handle, Benign. I'm Power Level Studios' newest community manager, and you'll see me represented in this video as the Feline Clawr. Joined with me today is none other than Mr. Danny Forrest, the project lead and original visionary of Soul Reaper.
Hey, what's up, guys?
He'll be represented by the Reaper icon, and both images will fade in accordance with whoever's currently speaking. With that out of the way, we can get right into it. For today, I've compiled a list of questions that both new and returning players would be interested in having answered. We'll cover topics such as the team's current focus, Soul Reaper's game mechanics, and more, so sit back, relax, and enjoy. For the first question, I'd like to touch on what exactly Soul Reaper is and how it came to be. In addition, what differences exist between it and your former project, Unreap Commander?
That's a good question. I'm gonna try to make this as brief as possible. I could expand really deep in there, but Soul Reaper really came from old school role-playing games that I was playing when I was younger on Super Nintendo, like Pokemon or Lufia 2, if some people know that one. Castlevania games, Zelda games, Diablo 1 and 2, and I was trying to come up with a game, a more recent game that had all the aspects of these games combined into a single game and made it properly, and I couldn't find anything. And I love these types of games. I know other people love these types of games, and there's nothing out there. So I saw a gap and decided, you know what, I'm just going to make this. So that's basically how Soul Reaper started out, and that was 6 years ago now. So it's been a long project that I've been working on and off with different collaborators. And it really just started when, about 3 years ago, maybe 4. Now I'm losing track of time, but in Ontario, so in Canada, there's a program called the Ontario Media Development Corporation, which is now called Ontario Creates. They give grants to game companies so they can build games, which is amazing. Because of that grant, I was able to hire a team of artists, animators, composers, basically make everything that I could not do myself. So that's how it got started about 3 years ago, and the artist and animator did an incredible job. Same with the music, but I did all the programming on the site. So I built the systems, so all the Diablo-style loot system. I built the Final Fantasy-style combat system, and all of that, which I love doing, but I wouldn't do the animation and art, so I'm glad some other people did it. Eventually, while testing the original game, so Soul Reaper was never ever meant to be 2 games. And then I was living in Cambodia at the time, and I guess not that it matters in the story, but I wanted to be testing the game balancing that I had done in the spreadsheets, which is a pretty standard way to balance stuff, but I wanted to see how it actually played out for real in a really quick way. So I created a combat simulator. And when I was playing with it, I realized, wow, there's actually a game right there. There's an asynchronous multiplayer game that I could build in a week based on the systems that I had done already. So that's how Unreap Commander actually happened. It was kind of an accident. So I made the multiplayer version, and I released on early access, and got some feedback on it. And so we kept improving the systems, which in the end are completely transferred into Soul Reaper, the main game. So even though we decided for now to pause development on Unreap Commander, we're basically taking all the systems and putting them into Soul Reaper, the main game. It's kind of how Unreap Commander happened. The difference is really just that one has some online components, and the other one is a single-player version that is story-based and exploration-based, whereas Unreap Commander was menu-based and no story.
For the second question, where is Power Level Studios currently based region-wise? Do you have anyone working abroad?
Yeah, so the studio is based in Toronto. So the headquarters, quote-unquote headquarters, are in Toronto. There's only Chris working from Toronto right now, and you from around Ottawa, and I'm in Montreal. And the 4 other interns working with me are also in Montreal, but they come from a college that's in Vermont. So they're doing their internship here in Montreal. It's the first time actually with this company. It's the first time I actually work physically with people. All my previous collaborators that I mentioned, the artists, animators, and musicians, were actually all remote.
For the third question, what are you looking for players to get out of the Soul Reaper experience?
Fun, all the way. It sounds like a ridiculous answer, but it matters so much. So one of the things I realized, the game was supposed to be released almost a year ago now, and I was supposed to be the one designing the levels, and I wanted to create randomly generated levels, and it turned out that it just wasn't fun. Like, I don't know if I'm too picky, but it really wasn't to my taste, and I thought we could do better if we ended up implementing the levels ourselves manually. And it seems like I'm right so far. So the levels are a lot more fun in theory, because we're building them right now, and I'm really excited about that. So in traditional old school games, the levels, you would go through some areas with long corridors or big overworld maps, and nothing would really be happening. Maybe some random encounters, and that's just not that fun. What I wanted to do with this is that every single piece of a level has to be fun. So while we're crafting these levels, the designers have to be specific on what makes this specific level fun and unique. So there's no 2 levels that are going to be the same. Each one's going to have a different mechanic based on the monsters that are present, and it's just going to make the game fun all around. So the exploration, the combat, it's a souped-up version of Final Fantasy X, where you create a team of 9 different monsters. So there's a lot of Pokemon aspects to collecting monsters and making them stronger and arranging them in the proper way in combat, so that it's more strategic. So the combat is going to be fun, the exploration is going to be fun, and organizing your team is going to be fun, like trying to figure out what the best builds are for the region you're at, for the bosses you're about to fight, all that stuff. And these are things that some games overlook. I don't want to overlook that.
For the fourth question, what is Soul Reaper's main gameplay like? How do you reap souls, and how do you use them to your advantage?
Yeah, so the gameplay loop mainly revolves around, it kind of plays like a Castlevania game. So if you or the person listening has played some of the latest Castlevania games, so Castlevania Symphony of the Night, Area of Sorrow, and all that stuff, it behaves similarly, but plays top-down view, kind of similar to old school Zelda game. So what I mean with the similar style to Castlevania is that you go from rooms to room, and basically everything you killed in the room respawns when you come back to it. So when you explore around, it feels like a Zelda game, and then you go to a different room, you come back, the monsters are back again, and you can try to figure out which is the best place to farm a specific type of monster you're trying to collect. So in that sense, it behaves a lot like a Castlevania game, and we have waypoints similar to the warp rooms in Castlevania, or a waypoint in a Diablo game, where once you reach a certain point in the map, you can fast travel to it more easily. So that minimizes a lot of the backtracking that some games would typically have. We want to minimize that to a minimum. So a design strategy in our case is that if you're trying to get to some place, the maximum amount of time we want it to take is 5 minutes. So we think it's very important that the loop of things happening is good. It's a good pace that you always feel like you get rewarded. And that's exactly what the souls are about. Souls are everything in the game. It would take me way too long to explain all the uses, but it's your currency. So there's actually no cash in the game. So when you go to the merchant, you're not trading money. you're trading souls for loot. So she's buying souls from you, and she gives you a piece of loot. Similarly, you can trade loot for souls, and the stronger the soul, the better the weapon you could get, and vice versa. So that's one use of the souls. In combat, you can equip souls on any piece of loot. So if you have a scythe that has a few sockets in there, you can add a soul to it, similar to Diablo Gem. And that gives you a passive attribute bonus. So it could be +5 intelligence, +10 intelligence. It depends on the level of the monster. So the Flame Bee would have, I think the Flame Bee is intelligence, and at level 1 it's +1. At level 200, which is the max level, it's I think it's about 300.
Whoa.
So there's specific rules on that grow by level. So it gives you a passive bonus, but what it really does is it allows you, if you're equipping that on Soul Reaper, it allows you to use the ability in combat. So every soul has one ability attached to it. So the Flame Bee soul does a fireball attack. And so if you put that on a scythe, your Soul Reaper now can use the Flame Bee's attack. So you can now toss fireballs at everything you see in combat.
Nice.
And you can equip up to 8 pieces of loot on the Soul Reaper. And so I think in total that means, if I remember correctly, 12 different souls you can equip on your guy. So he can actually have up to 12 abilities. And your monsters are summoned from the soul. So in combat, you get 90 units. So nine different monsters you can use. And it's basically you summoning them prior to combat. So you create the team first. And so yeah, your soul becomes the monsters that fight for you in combat, and you can equip loot on them as well.
That's crazy. I like the sounds of it.
Yeah, so the cool thing is every monster has one ability, so it may sound boring, but let's say you equip a scythe on one of your monsters that has 3 sockets. That means you can equip 3 souls on the weapon. So your monster typically deals fire damage, for example, but if you equip a Saint Squirrel on it, it starts healing your guys at the same time.
Nice.
Or you can equip a water-based attack on your fire-based monster. You can do whatever you want with that weapon. There's just so much. We have a system we call Soul Gear. It's a working name, but it's similar to... I guess it's similar to nothing. It's kind of recipes so when you combine a specific set of souls on the same piece of equipment, it can do something special. So for example, if you equip a stabby squirrel with a we're working on the names, by the way. They're all going to change. So a stabby squirrel and a windy fish on a scythe, it becomes a storm commando scythe. And that gives you extra bonus to wind damage and agility. And there's a bunch of recipes like that, which we're not sure if we're going to reveal. So we might let the community create wikis out of that. And we might tease some of them. We might give them out as bonus rewards or quest rewards and stuff like that. So we're not sure what's going to happen with how we actually tell the players how to do that. But that's one use of it, and there's just so much with souls. I haven't even touched 50% of what you can do with them, and this is built already. So all that has been built for almost 2 years now.
For the 5th question, out of the monsters currently available in Soul Reaper, do you have a favorite?
You know what? They're actually all super cool. I'm really excited by what the team has done. So the process we were doing for that was basically I would find just an image of an idea that I had and just share that on the Trello board, and the artist would come up with sketches based on that. And my artist was just phenomenal at some of the stuff. One of the monsters, so one of my favorites, I'm going to mention it here, is the Froggen Hood. So he's a frog. that's dressed like Robin Hood. He's got a mustache, but it's not a real mustache. It's a pattern on his scale. He's got a goatee, but again, that's a pattern, and most people will not notice the first time they look at it. But there's a lot of nuances in the of each of the monsters. So the Frog Hood has a massive jaw, and what you don't know is until he attacks, he actually has a bow in his mouth.
Oh my gosh!
And he's pulling the string with his tongue to let out an arrow. It's just such an amazing monster that I basically had nothing to do with. My artist just sketched that, and the animator just made it happen. And it's such a beautiful creature. So the idea behind the design of the monsters was basically start from kind of like animals or like creatures or insects.
Yeah.
But not humans. Like something that's I wouldn't feel bad, quote unquote, killing.
Oh, okay.
So not that it's not animal cruelty. I promise. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like Pokemon.
Yeah.
But in Pokemon, some of them don't look super badass, and like even the most ridiculous monster we have, like the most simple monster we have, has a Gatling gun, or has double daggers, or like they're all super heavily armed, and that was very important. They needed to look badass, even though from the start they were just small monsters. I wanted them to be something that you look at and you're like, shit, I'm scared.
That's good.
So my favorites, so Frog and Hood would be one of them. I like. So some of them have some kind of sexual references, which are pretty funny. The banana, so Badnana, is a banana that is kind of a Japanese style banana with weapons and a club that looks like you'll see it.
Okay. Continued, I suppose.
And so I love the banana. That's actually my community avatar. I love the ninja.
So, yes, the ninja pigeon.
Yeah, he's like a super badass pigeon. And originally, in my sketch, he had a sniper rifle, and my artist turned him into a ninja, and I think that was an even better idea. I don't particularly like pigeons, but this one's amazing. So Frog and Hood, Banana, Ninja, amazing monsters.
For question 6, what sort of computer specs will be required to run Soul Reaper?
It's pretty straightforward. Nothing too crazy. It's basically just like Unreap Commander. I don't specifically remember what the requirements were, but really any computer can run it. It's about 7 gigs right now.
Okay. And
all the assets are in, so it shouldn't grow that much more. Mm-hmm. Sound effects are missing, actually.
Okay.
So that may actually add a bit. So it will be about like maximum 10. On PC, it's going to be Windows and Mac, and then it's going to be on consoles as well. I'm watching Stadia as well.
For question 7, what software or programming language is being used to code Soul Reaper?
Yeah, so it's built in Unity with C#.
Nice.
And we're using some plugins, but actually not that many. Most of the systems that I built don't require Unity directly, so it could technically be moved to a different platform, but for the most part, everything visual is Unity.
For question 8, what software do you use for animating the in-game monsters?
Yeah, we're using something called Spine. It's nice. That's all I can say. It's just really cool. All the sprites are 2D, and they're drawn in Photoshop. So they're PSD files, and they have some kind of integration there where when you load up the Unity file, the Photoshop files, it creates layers directly in there that you can start to create bones for.
Okay.
So everything is kind of like a skeleton. You build a skeleton of the different parts that can move on the monster, as well as meshes. And the way that my animator did the stuff is just so cool. He made like a lot of the monsters, like they're 2D, but they feel 3D, which is really cool.
For question 9, who composed the music thus far? Are there multiple composers? And what software was used with regard to the soundtrack?
Yeah, I love the music in the game. I'm very happy again with my collaborators on that. So it was actually composed by 2 different people. And one of them was in LA, and that was before I got the funding. So with the funding, I'm not supposed to be... I can't use the funding for people that are outside of Ontario.
Okay.
So for him, that was before I got the funding. And he composed the combat theme and the boss theme. So no one has seen the boss theme yet, except for me. It's good. It's good stuff. So if you like the combat version, the boss version is a bit more upbeat and just adds more adrenaline to the combat. And the other composer basically did all the other ones. And so he's based in Ottawa.
Okay.
And he worked on a really cool game. It's called Pizza Ultra Titan. I forgot the name of his company, but it was a really cool game. So yeah, he's an amazing composer. He did a few variations of each of the themes, and currently we're actually using them all. So when you go into the lava world, there's a chance that you're actually going to play a different version of it, which I'm not sure if it's a smart design move. We'll see when we play test, but for now you can actually listen to everything he composed. So there's like 4 for each world.
Oh, nice. Do you know what software they were using, or?
Oh yeah, I actually don't.
Fair enough.
I think Mike did tell me, the one who composed all the songs.
For the final question, are there any specific goals you'd like to achieve with Soul Reaper?
To kind of tie in with the intro, I was playing these games when I was a kid. They were amazing, and no one made a game that combined all the best aspects of all these games that I am aware of, at least. And so there are people like me who are looking for an old school type of game, but with a bit of a modern twist, both in art and some of the systems. So my goal really is to make that combination the best possible game, the best homage I could do to all these amazing games, and create the best version that people are going to play and talk about for years to come.
Yeah, all right, excellent. That about wraps things up for now. Thanks so much for taking the time, of course, to sit down with me and answer some questions.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's a great idea. If you want to do more of that, I think we should do that regularly. Sharing some of the development. We're very active in development right now, so I think we can do more of that.
Moving forward, I'd like to start posting content to Soul Reaper's social media accounts on a fairly regular basis. I'm not too sure what the scheduled content will look like just yet, but I have a few ideas that I definitely like to get the ball rolling on. That being said, make sure to follow the project on your platform of choice to grab any news or updates that might come your way. We'll list the relevant links below and down in the video's description.
Yeah, and we'll probably update the website as well with cooler stuff. The website was redo that I did in a few minutes, so be sure to check out powerlevelstudios.com regularly, because I'm going to update it with the really cool stuff that my design team's working on right now.
With that being said, we'll catch you guys later. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.
Yeah, good day.